What's going on, guys? This is the 5 Yard Pass podcast with me, Suddy.
And this is Shyam.
Love the delay. Bringing you the weekend's action. Look, we're going to talk about 5 points on the weekend. It was an eventful weekend. The Premier League kind of started off with the Ronaldo euphoria, ending off with a lot of kind of controversy from the United Wolves game as well. So there's lots to talk about. I guess we'll start off, man, with a point that's kind of close to me, man. Mason Greenwood, 3 goals, 3 games, but not only that, mature performances, which is maybe a bit more heartening, I guess, than just seeing, because we know he can score goals. He's currently the fourth best teenager ever in Premier League history, behind Owen, Fowler, Rooney, and himself. 3 Scousers, and him, who's from Manchester himself.
I think he's got the third most goals by a United teenager behind Whiteside and George Best. Yeah. He's passed all Rooney and all that.
Yeah. So it's not just that's just Premier League. Yes. You are right. Not by Norman Whiteside and George Best. A hell of a play. He didn't get the call up for England though.
Yeah, that's very strange. He's clearly in form. 9 goals these last 11 games. I was thinking that, he seemed almost there at the end of last season. I just kind of felt he needed what I call the set of shoulders. He just needed to be a bit bigger in the chest and shoulders. But he's clearly done some work. He's looking bigger and stronger.
It's the tattoo that makes him look a bit more thuggish as well.
And he's taking the game on more as well. Yeah. He was a bit passive at times, so earlier last season, but right now he's chomping at the bit. He's really taking the game on, and he's sort of, after the euphoria of United's great first game, they've gone back to that sort of play last season we didn't really want to see. But he's kind of elevated the team by himself almost. It's been really good to watch, and quite surprising he didn't get the England call up.
The interesting thing about him is that, and you know what? To be fair, I saw this in Owen when Owen was younger. I was obviously very young, but I remember watching Owen. Obviously, I saw the rise of Rooney. Didn't quite see Fowler, but he has something that they all have, is that his finishing isn't going to get much better. It's already at a peak elite level. But what has got better for me besides his physical strength is his football, his movement. He has great movement. He's reading passes better, and he seems to understand what Pogba wants to do with the ball. He understands a lot better what Fernandes wants to do. And that's just added to his game. The goal the other day against Wolves, last night against Wolves, was trademark kind of. It's time to pull it out of the bag, and he does. Is a 19-year-old guy who basically carried the attack on his shoulders last night. The question I have for you is: we talked about this. We said about amongst ourselves as well with friends. He should be carrying the number 9 mantle. How does that change now with Ronaldo coming in?
Yeah, it's interesting. I do. He scores important goals as well. That was one thing I wanted to add. He's not just getting icing on the cake goals. He's getting big, important goals as well. With Ronaldo, it's interesting. I think that the idea at the end of last season was Cavani would be there for a while until he fell away due to age, and Greenwood by that time would be ready to take the mantle. I don't think that plan changes with Ronaldo. Ronaldo's a great player, but he signed a 2-year contract and he's 36. So there's still a path there for Greenwood to ascend to a level of greatness. I've been saying this not on video, but in other places. I think that he could be as good as Mbappe or Haaland. I think that he needs to aim for that level. You look at someone like Marcus Rashford or Martial, they've had good starts and they've kind of plateaued a bit. Mason's really taking off. And he really needs to continue doing that. He could be a genuine world star. And what United fans would absolutely love, their number 9 to be a local lad. It'd be something incredible for the club.
Somewhat of a passing the baton, with as well as that, you wouldn't mind being second fiddle to one of the greatest, if not, for United fans, on Thursday he was not the greatest player of all time. On Friday he was now the greatest player of all time. So if I was Mason Greenwood, I'd be hard to complain. But at the same time,
it's almost an ideal situation for him, that he's got to continue to just develop and grow. The pressure goes on to Ronaldo, and he can just be the best footballer he can be. And by the time if Ronaldo leaves at the end of his contract, he's just getting on 22, 23. It's there for him. The opportunity is massive.
Yeah, and at the same time, you would hope that, not in a prima donna-ish kind of way, but you'd want him to complain a bit that he's not playing. Look, I'm scoring goals. Why is Ronaldo is not scoring enough goals? You want him to be pushing in a kind of humble way. Anyway, we'll move on to the surprise kind of package. They really shouldn't be a surprise package, but Son Min-hyun and Spurs, perfect start. 3 goals, 3 games, 9 points. Best team in the league at the minute. Clear. They haven't dropped a point yet. Nuno has shown that with a preseason, he can do anything with the team. He showed with Wolves, and when he doesn't have a preseason, it kind of crumbles. And apparently Spurs and him are a good fit, man.
Yeah, like the thing that's impressed me the most is the 3 clean sheets. They're 3-1-0 wins. They're not. It's nothing to write home about. Human's goal should have been stopped. The free kick should have been stopped by the keeper. Dele Alli's was a penalty, and then they had a good counter-attacking goal against City. But they've not done much going forward. He's made them hard to beat. They were too easy to beat last year. He's got rid of Sergio Aurier. I forget the name of the fella he put in, the centre back who plays on the right side.
Romero.
Not Romero. There's another fella.
You keep going. Yeah, I guess.
And what's happened is that they've become very hard to score against. So they're very hard to beat, and then they've got enough to go forward. It's a bit like Wolves. Wolves had a sort of a better, more technical midfield, and Tottenham's got a bit more punch up front. But he's taking that template and giving stability to a team that really needs stability. We'd sort of predicted that they would start badly and then get a bit better. They've won the first 3 games. 2 of them were quite winnable. I mean, City aside, they probably, if they want to get to where they want to get, they probably should have won the other 2. So the surprise result is more the beating City. They will have sterner tests, but you feel like they're more ready for those tests now than perhaps before. And to see Harry Kane play as well was good. It looks like he's going to commit for at least a season, and he's a local lad, so he'll give everything. How that all goes is probably a discussion for the end of next season, as opposed to
you're talking about Jaffe Tangana.
Yeah,
he's I didn't know he was he's a local. He's an academy boy, so he's been there for a while.
And it's good that new managers come in. They're actually trying to get rid of Sergio Aurier. They're offering him as part trade for anything that they can get. They're really just trying to get rid of him. So, which is good. Aurier is a good player, but he makes to me he's a bit like Mikhail Silvestre from Man United. Has good moments, but makes quite glaring mistakes at the same time.
Yeah, I guess Nuno's one of those managers. Is an expert at creating cultures at a club, and he's obviously changed the mentality of the players. Now the question there, before we get to the next point, is can Spurs last the season? I'd like to think they can. They seem the mentality is something that's quite permanent with Nuno. You can see Wolves still benefits from that mentality. You can't tell me that Wolves' new manager has come in and just changed the culture of the club. That's not true. That Portuguese contingent with Adama Troy is still there. And against United on the weekend, they were very, very good. They were very unlucky not to lose that game. So Spurs surprise package. Son 3 goals in 3 games. 2 goals in 3 games. But being the leader of the team, he's kind of stepped up in the uncertainty of Kane, and they've done very well.
Yeah, definitely. I think they want to keep an eye on. I do have questions whether they can last the course, but it's a good start to the season. They're top of the table after 3 games. That's all you can ask for.
The next point was Everton. We wanted to talk generally about Everton, but I think most of the credit has to go to Benitez. Done very well this year. They did well they beat Brighton on the weekend 2-0. What's going right for Benitez? It's very, very interesting. Benitez, since he left Liverpool, has never been given the credit he deserved, and he left Chelsea under a cloud. He won the Europa with Chelsea, right? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he won the Europa with Chelsea. He's done very well. I always thought he did such a good job at Newcastle. The fans didn't want him to go.
Oh, the fans absolutely love him at Newcastle.
This might just be his kind of second coming after fucking 15 years of here and 16 years of since Istanbul. This could be his second coming.
Yeah. The Everton has good pieces, and again, I've got worries over their numbers and how they'll get through a season. But I made a comment before the Brighton Everton game that I hadn't got a clean sheet yet. They've gone out and got a clean sheet away to Brighton, which is a very credible result. And it feels like pieces are coming together there where you didn't kind of expect it. The whole thing about Rodriguez not wanting to be around, Sigurdsson with his issues, Keane's gone. He's left the club now. Keane's going to be the next Ronaldo at Juventus. So. There are pieces that are gone, but Everton did have some good attackers and some good attacking players, and they've brought some width in with Townsend and Gray, who Gray got a good goal as well against Brighton. Coming slowly together. I probably need to see more of them before I'm convinced, but they've done as well as they can so far. And Benitez, you're right. I think that there's this whole talk about Brendan Rodgers not being acclaimed as a great manager. I think Benitez is probably, maybe not in the last couple of years, but over his career, probably should be there. Maybe sort of sneaks into the great manager club, but I think he should be in that club.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about really quickly as well. The two kind of talking points in terms of red cards in the weekend. There was Reece James, who Okay, we talk about the red card first, and then there was the Pogba red card. I didn't know there was triple punishment. So the foul, the red card, the penalty. I thought he'd only get a yellow first thing, and the second thing, was that a straight red? Was that an intentional handball?
Yeah, I think it's come down to a very literal interpretation of the rules. The
Yeah.
first thing is that it did hit his arm, and there's no
Mm,
question of that. And if it did not hit his arm, it would have gone in. So
mm,
that automatically penalty. I get it.
mm,
If you interpret that if you interpret that literally, it's a red
mm,
card because he handballed the ball on the line and the ball was going to go in. So I
mm,
get why it was given a red card, but
mm,
I get what you're saying. It doesn't feel like a red card.
mm,
Clearly, it was ball to, or leg to hand or ball to hand or whatever they call it. He didn't have time to react. It feels
yeah.
very harsh. And like you said, penalty, red card. What was the other one you said?
The sending. So if it's a foul in the box, they're trying to stay with it for years. A couple of years ago, they decided to keep away from triple punishment, which is the foul, the red card, penalty, it becomes a goal. So they call it triple punishment.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it doesn't feel right, but it was actually that game was very for people who like football. That was a very entertaining game. It wasn't a spectacular one, but the two teams got
Mm.
into a massive arm
They
wrestle in the
did.
second half.
They did. Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
was
They did.
it was enjoyable from that perspective because
Yeah.
I didn't think I kind of made the comment before the game. I thought that it would just be them feeling out each other a bit, and I remember thinking it might be a 1-1 draw, but I did go 2-1 Liverpool. But I thought it would descend to the arm wrestle. But this wasn't an arm wrestle. It was an arm wrestle. Like they both went
Well,
at each other.
I think Pep and Ollie have very similar styles in that they will shift for the opponent. But I think Tuchel and Klopp are two managers that stick to their principles very well. And you saw that Tuchel, that's how he won the Champions. He stuck to his principles, would keep the ball, would defend well because he inherited a Chelsea side. But he's been able to make changes, put Lukaku up front. Werner's become more of a wide creator. And I must say, Harvey Elliott, we didn't think he'd start. He played very well.
I was surprised to see him
He was
start, but he played very
he played
well as
very
well.
well.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
genuinely surprised to see him out there because playing at home to Burnley is one thing, but playing home to Chelsea is another. And fitted in, did really well.
Yeah.
They
And
may have. I said he might be a answer. He's gone up again in my estimations.
yeah.
Needs
I mean,
stronger legs to get through a season, but he'll only get that
yeah.
by playing.
He's keeping Thiago Alcantara on the bench. It's a huge fucking deal. I wanted to say really quickly as well. News came up 5 minutes ago. I didn't want to say it before the video started, but Michael Edwards, director of football, chairman of Liverpool, got stepped down. He's he director of football, but he's been the guy that has done such good deals in the last
He's sort of the head of that transfer committee,
6,
isn't he?
7, 8 years. He's been the head of this revolution next to Klopp. It's probably the second most important guy at the club besides the owners.
Liverpool have done exceptionally well in terms of getting those players. And I was even reading a stat that they were black at the transfer market, like they were 30 mil in credit,
Yeah.
and they brought in Salah, Mane, Van Dijk, Alisson, all of these players.
Yeah.
A lot of that credit goes to that committee, and he's the head of that committee. So,
Yeah.
but I did feel in the last couple of years, probably with COVID, like there was a lot of talk, we can't really afford anyone, and they got Alcantara, who is a very good player, but even when he came in, he questioned how he was going to fit in. And Kanate as well, really good pickup, but you're kind of expecting a little bit more than just those acquisitions. So maybe the financial pinch has given him some element of frustration. I'm speculating there, but he's done an exceptional job for Liverpool. He'll be hard to replace. If you look at a club like Arsenal, for example, a lot of the guys in senior positions at Arsenal, like Arteta, Edu, all of these guys, it's their first job in football, and it's a very senior role. So the experience of people like Edwards is something that can be missed very dearly in football clubs. And it's interesting with Klopp because they have indicated Liverpool that they are leaning with guys like Elliott, guys like Trent, leaning a bit more to trying to get youth players in. Liverpool have had exceptional youth players like Carragher and Gerrard, being probably the two most prominent examples. But it's not something you associate a lot with Liverpool that, I mean, even Owen and Fowler, but you don't think Liverpool are youth coming through. It's not something you think. But if they start bringing in more guys like Elliott, Curtis Jones, Trent Alexander-Arnold, that perception could change. And I do think that Liverpool fans would absolutely love to see more youth players.
Yeah. The last thing there, we'll finish off with Pogba, red card or no red card, because I just gonna watch it again before this. And look, his studs went up. And I think he would have got a red card. I think it was a red card, a medium to soft red card. If Moutinho, was it Neves or Moutinho?
Neves. It was Neves.
It was Neves. If Neves had gone down, if he had dived or exaggerated it, I think he would have been a red card. But I think
if he put the mayo on it, as they say in America, I thought it was a red. Starts at clumsy red, not intentional red, but a clumsy red. He's not a very good defender, Pogba. The idea, I think that Neves' behavior, or not behavior, his reaction saved Pogba in that case. It was a red card. I didn't like hearing what Graham Souness had said. He basically called Pogba a thug, which I thought was given Graham Souness.
Have you seen Souness play?
Yeah. Oh, do you call it playing? He was literally a thug. But like completely unintentional, but completely red. I would say a soft red, but red. You can't just put studs in like that and expect to get away with it, particularly when the foot is anchored on the ground, because the foot has nowhere to go. So that type of challenge can break legs. And I remember Gerrard once in his career, he did a very similar challenge and got sent off. I think it was on Boateng at Aston Villa, and like he got criticised for it rightly, but it was completely just Gerrard when Gerrard was young, he was quite overzealous and did everything at a million miles an hour, and he just overcommitted on a challenge.
Well, that's why that is specifically talking about the leg anchoring. A great example would be when Pickford went through Van Dijk. Yep. His leg was half on the ground. There's nowhere to go. The leverage, and that just takes in the out. But overall, man, a great weekend. I think we'll finish off there. It was a great weekend. It's shaping up nicely. You can feel things moving. I think everyone couldn't be more excited for. I think you're going to have one of the most viewed Premier League games of all time, with Ronaldo coming back to Newcastle for the next round of fixtures.
I thought you were going to talk about the next weekend, the Norwich Arsenal game. No, that's not what you're referring to. No, okay. It's simmering nicely. It's kind of like a really bad time to have an international break, because it's just simmering really nicely. Yeah. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to say: Man City fans are shit. That atmosphere was terrible. Well, there should be when there was no goals.
Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal, Man City versus Arsenal. They got everything right, Man City, but the crowd support, when there's no goal, you couldn't hear him. I saw that, and then I saw the Liverpool game, and it's like, oh my god, like it's just night and day in the Liverpool fans compared to the Man City fans.
Yeah, well, like I put it this way, man. Aguero's 32, right? You come back in 2 years' time, you're not going to get the same reception that Ronaldo gets. And Aguero was a hell of a Premier League player, elite level Premier League player. You're not going to get the same reception. Unfortunately, it's like a rich kid. When a rich kid gets everything he wants, when he gets his Ferrari, it's like, oh, I got a Ferrari. And unfortunately, Man City fans, fortunately and unfortunately, they've been spoiled very quickly. Liverpool, United, even Arsenal in their invincible days, they built that team, and with West Ham now or Leicester now, they cherish it, and I think United fans cherish it even more than they did before, with 8 years of very average football.
You can even see with Liverpool fans, for example, they've had that 30-year gap between titles, so they relish this opportunity to have a great team. Yeah. United fans have had, some clubs will laugh and go, oh, only 8 years, but it's felt like 8 years of suffering for United fans. Arsenal fans as well. You think Arsenal, not in the short term, but they'll rise again. So the part of being a fan is going through those good days and those bad days.
And last thing as well, you think as well with COVID, fans would cherish it even more. It just doesn't seem that way. I completely agree with that city atmosphere. The stadium wasn't even full, man. They can't fill a stadium. Anyway, look,
and for a team like Arsenal, it wasn't it was a big team,
Yeah, I've enjoyed digging out Spurs in the last few months, but I think I'll stop at Spurs because they're doing quite well. So I think I'll shift my attention to Man City because they missed out on Ronaldo and they couldn't beat Arsenal 6-0.
All right.
Anyway, Shyam, any closing thoughts? It's going to be
that was my closing thought. The City
obviously international break. So obviously international break. So 2 weeks to the next game. Some good international fixtures, and obviously if anyone wants to catch Ronaldo, he's playing against Republic of Ireland in Portugal. So it's all a bit of fun and games until the next round of Premier League fixtures when we see our boy back in action.
Yeah, and his first game will be Old Trafford against Newcastle, so that'll be some event. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We are the 5 Yard Pass podcast. My name is Suddy. This is Shyam. Keep football simple, and as always,
keep passing, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.